back here with Baba Is You, where the deep forest has actually confounded me quite a few times, but in sort of weird, awkward ways that I probably shouldn't have allowed myself to be confounded in. But yet again, I must repeat that we got through it in the end, and so we're making progress one way or the other. Anyway, fungus love is death. Baba says Texas float, belt is shift, head is stop, bug is push, belt is belt, love is defeat, bug is bug. So we've currently got a bug is push thing. We can push it into a corner for some reason. Also prevents us from going up through this way. It's one of those situations where we're going to say that fungus is defeat at the same time love is win, and as such, presumably, we want to do that only after we're already in here. But of course, if we push this away from the wall here, it doesn't have to be the shape they've given us. We can do an assortment of things, such as belt is push. Currently, bug is not stopping us, so we can push the belt, and then we could do something like this. If there was some way, perhaps, to get the bug and the belt in the same spot, and we could have them both shift each other, then I guess if we got them here and facing right, they would both kind of like move along at the same time, presumably. And then it would give us some time to run. So I can say Baba is shift. I don't think that's actually going to help me get the bug out of here, is it? Oh, sure it is, actually. If I can simply go up through the bottom and then... Okay, so I could get... Probably the best I could do is having it facing here, and so that means I don't want the belt there, really. I'm thinking that probably is the way, is we want bug and belt to be shifted at the same time. So, you here... Ah, right, because I can start the phrase from anywhere. I can start it up here, which gives me less... I don't have to run as much. Let's say Baba is shift, so we can do this thing, go in, out, round, and get them on the same spot. They're primed to shift each other, I'm assuming is what we're doing here. So we're going to do a bug is belt is situation here with the shift cornerstone coming in at just the precise right moment to allow us to skedaddle, and they shift each other as foretold. Boom, right on. Took me way less time than moving floor and crumbling floor did, for sure. And concrete goals. I'm so good at making those and sticking to them, which is why I will excel at this level very shortly. Baba is us, flag is win, belt is push, flag is stop, tree is stop, wall is stop, belt is shift. Flag is win, tree is stop, we said, so it doesn't look like there's much changing that. So what's wrong with getting us in here and walking onto the flag? The flag is also stop, I see. But if Baba were shift, then, or in fact, if the belt is, I see, the belt is pushed. This could do interesting things. Stopping wall from being stopped does what for why? Why does that mean I can't push this? I don't actually know. Ah, sorry, no, it was more that I couldn't push anything past the flag. Of course, I could do this kind of thing, and then I could say that, ooh, can I line this up correctly? Well, sort of, yeah, if I, do this kind of thing, I can get in the middle here, which might be worth something. I could get wall as push anyway, which lets us get some stuff out of the way and make this a little easier to interface with. Just how that helps at the moment, I'm not 100% certain. I have the feeling that we're going to want to say wall is shift at some point after having like pushed it into a stop thing or something. No, surely not. I was going to say if you shift something into a stop, does it go onto the stop? Because, like, if it's not push or anything else itself, but I assume not. Anyway, this felt important to do, just for my own personal life. So I can push all the belts around to plenty of interesting effect here. What I was curious of was if you could you shove like a wall like through a stop thing? And no, you couldn't. But it may mean that we can get the is win out of there somehow with pushing and shifting. For instance, this sort of thing. Doesn't let you do a whole lot. All right, okay, so I actually, now that I think about it, I think we're not trying to say that flag is not stopped. Like, I don't think we're trying to undo that, because that would require, some belt shenanigans, some shift shenanigans, I should say, anyway, as well as getting the tree to not be stopped, or getting the tree to be pushed, or something like that. So it seems more likely we're going to somehow make something else win. And I'm open to the possibility that I've screwed something up so far, although this felt like a pretty big and nice solve. Ah, well, of course. I can push the flag and then onto the conveyor belt and have it fall on top of me by being at the end of it. I don't know how I want the conveyor belts for that to happen, but I guess I want them in some kind of loop, probably. Let's see if I can orchestrate that. I gotta remember the walls aren't stopped, so I need to bend to their ways. So we could do some kind of loop type thing, like this, and then if we just were to say that flag was push, get it on the conveyor belt, that's going in a loop, and then say it wasn't pushed, that we don't accidentally like push it out of the ring and then just hit on the ring and then go backwards a bit. We should end up on the same thing as... Wait, hang on. This is confusing. Oh no, it does push us even still. Okay. All right. Would it still do that if I was being shoved into a wall? I guess probably. I thought I had that, if I'm honest. No, that makes sense, though, because I was thinking I could move left to go on the conveyor belt and then go back to the same spot I'm on, and then the flag would be pushed onto me, but if flag is stopped, then I'm just bouncing off of it, and so I'm not moving anywhere this turn. It's as though I waited, in which case I go around the loop some more. Maybe we do want it to still be push. I didn't think that didn't seem like it would help, but... Because if I do that, it's just going to go out of the ring. Oh, wait, hang on. Right, sorry, this is not actually that hard. All I have to do is do that thing where you push it into somewhere, like, going against you, and it just pushes it on top of you. Right, okay. Of course! Silly me! Ah, it is lettered. I see. So there is such a thing as lettered extra stages, right? Like you can go A, B, C, and then C gets its own extra one, so we may not be in the clear yet. I don't know, it's actually kind of quite weird, these lettered ones. It's because they've only been in Forest of Fall and Deep Forest so far, I guess. Trees are just very literate these days. Makes sense, they're what paper is made of. Anyway, Baba's us, flag is win, Baba is swap. We've done something kind of like this before, right? Where... Right, so what we could do is do this to get another is out, in which case we just say Baba is win also, right? Oh, alright, or just making me stop making swaps so that I can walk on the flag, yeah. There's that too! That also works, cool, right? The lettered ones are very interesting, because I usually find they're all either extremely easy or extremely hard. Because they're so... thinky. You either think of it right away or you don't, basically. So they're giving me an A is to wait thing here to remind me about that. So waiting is going to be imperative, we assume. Rock is win, Baba's us, rock is win, grass is defeat, Kiki is push, Kiki is swap. We've got skull, move, all kinds of interesting things here. So rock is win, but we've got Kiki as a swap here. I'm getting so grass is defeat, so this will only get us so far. So just to be clear, why are you moving up and down? That's unusual. So the difference between Kiki and Skull, the reason we would ever want to say Kiki is Skull and swap them to that is because Skull does not, or I can push you to, I can only push you if you're not swapped. So Skull does not do swap anyway. So if I wanted you to move left and right ways, for instance, I would say Kiki is Skull, then I would say Skull is push you left and right ways, and then I would say, well, I don't know if it matters hugely if you're Kiki or Skull. At this point, it probably does. Baba is not push, so I can't have that happen. I could orchestrate Baba to be push, I suppose. But then no, I'd lose my is, wouldn't I? So I think we do want you to be Kiki now. So let's do Skull is Kiki, and I assume you're going to do something unusual, like you're going to swap... Oh, you can swap the grass as well. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I guess that could do something, huh? But I'm kind of assuming it's something like I want to move to the right as you swap the grass or something? No, I guess that's not quite doable that way. Well, that was certainly unique. I don't know what all it achieves, or could achieve, to do it that way, but sure. I can move you up and down. I suppose... So if I did that, and then I swapped you back to being Skull, right? And then said Skull is move, I could get you back across here, having done that to that grass, such that you could eventually make a path for us. So I would now turn you back to Kiki. And if I say again that Kiki is move, you're now going to swap that grass one further such that we could actually get through. And then we just win, right? Yeah, I think so. Okay. So I lied when I said they either take an extremely long or extremely small amount of time. That was like a sort of normal amount of time that one took us. Anyway, but the point is the letter ones are weird and interesting. I quite like them a lot, actually. Salvage is what we're at now. Baba's at skull is defeat, flag is win, text is not win. The text, I feel like the lettered ones tend to have like a very small number of rules as well. So it's just about using them in a quirky way, which I kind of like a lot. So currently flag is win. We got an and, we got pull. There's a swap right over there. So I'm thinking we want to say text is pull and then get a long line of text going so we can bring the swap in. Do I know how that helps just yet? I absolutely do not. But if we just get one more word there, then I can pull all of it back in here. To some purpose, probably. I'm wondering if there's some way to get it so that Baba is pull or something. We got text is not win up there, so it does have to be the flag, we presume. Or I guess it could be... No, yeah, it's basically going to be the flag. Or we could swap skull off of defeat or something. And we've got all this text in here now, which does feel like some kind of solve. I suppose we could say flag is win, pull. Text and flag is pull. And then maybe just reel in the flag from here, do you think? How many spaces away is it? Do we have enough for that? That's too high. Not quite. So text is swap, does feel like it's probably important somehow. Since text is also innately push, how does that work? We've had text to swap a few times before, but I never thought to really ask. If you... Swap just overrides it, I take it. Okay. But I guess if you did this, then... If I were somehow on text myself and swapped something, and then I swapped something into where I was standing, it would push that text? So I could get it to go further in theory? Not really, I suppose. But again, though, not enough room to do this and then bring it back. So it feels like I'm supposed to do some swap shenanigans to like shove it one further in a way that I don't understand how to do, and that we'll have to swap what the statement means at the last minute in an unusual kind of way. So how do I push it? Okay, so there's something like I was talking about where you get two things on the same spot. And then... So pull does let you do that in a weird way. How did I do it? So I had something behind me and I pulled it as I pulled the thing in front of me, as I said, back to swap them. That does not gain a longer statement or like shove it away like the way I hoped for, but there may be a way to make it do something kind of like that. Because we're just one away, right? I feel like it is something just like that. Except, right, I gotta remember text is pull push innately, so... The only thing that needs to swap is at the end. So if I did text and flag is swap. I'm assuming we have to get the flag in here, right? I don't see a way to undo Baba's use skull as defeat, because those things are far enough away that we couldn't, like, text tether them back in here. I find it really difficult to tell what state the text will be in, since we have like 8 words to, 7 words to use here. It feels like we have to do something that changes pull and swap almost at the same time. I don't think I understand the order of operations well enough to pull this off. How does using a swap, because I assume that's what it's gotta be, push something along? Because everything here is text, so if I swap one text thing into where another would be, it's just going to swap the two of them, right? So it's as though my swap would have to turn it off of being swap, which seems like it would only be helpful if the important text was already out the right side, which would mean that swap wouldn't be anything because there's only one is, so it would be at the back. So it's probably more like text is swap and pull. Then how do I get flag to be in the mix? It almost feels like the way I can swap something and then pull the other things onto it can be done in a reverse order somehow, because text is also push, to let me like push one farther as I do something, but I have no idea how that would happen. Like I am not able to visualize in any stretch how swap plus pull equals this thing goes farther. I just don't understand that. It seems to me that something would have to already be on top of me, and then I would push something else onto it. But text is swap, that must mean the text swaps with itself, right? Well, sort of. What I'm getting at is, if for some, I can't, because I can't visualize this. There's like no good way to explain what I'm trying to say, but if text would have to be on me for me to swap something else into it to push the text that is on me further, which is the only way I could think of that swapping somehow pushes something further, that still doesn't actually gain us any, because that would mean that one of the pieces of text ends up on me and the other one ends up to the right of me. In which case, we're no further because we still have one piece of text here, which I'm going to have to then push anyway. Yeah, wait, hang on. I must be thinking of this the wrong way, because there must be a way to get me, like, out with swap and pull. Because, as it stands, even if there was a way to get them one farther without me moving out here, they would be over here, and I wouldn't be able to pull them out. Because I can't step here and then go back. So the text would have to be, like, swapping itself or something. So it can't be that I'm trying to now pull this one out. I must be trying to use some weird swapping mechanics to get me out of the skull, but I can't manipulate what Baba is. And flag as text doesn't appear to help. The problem remains the same, but I kind of don't understand how it works anyway, because I would think that text as pull and swap would mean that if I were to, for sake of argument, do this, then the flag should pull all the text to the left, should it not? I guess that just means swap just doesn't pull, but I thought it was anything that was moving by any rule. You shift, push, move. If it moved and there was a pull thing beside it, like the opposite way from where it was moving, it pulled it with it. But it's not how it works, because the flag just moved to the left and didn't take the rest of the text with it. So apparently swapped things just don't pull just don't pulls things. Not that it would help necessarily, but swap can presumably only ever move me one thing, right? So I have absolutely nothing for you here. I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I'm not making skull is swap, I'm pretty sure of that. That would require getting the is or an and up here and all kinds of unusual things. I just do not understand how swap allows you to get... Well, no, okay, sorry. Again, it's not about getting the text further to the right here. Sorry about my mic. It's not about that. That's not what it's about, because that doesn't help. If the text is out there primed to pull the flag, that's lovely, but if you can't get here to pull it, then that's actually not lovely. So the only other thing I can think is somehow we're getting Baba out of the skulls once flag is win. But Baba can't be pull because we can't orchestrate that. So the text swap is the only thing I can think that would do that. Usually these ones don't really matter what order you do them in, but let me just try doing B first. Not quite is what this one is called. Flag is swap this time, but I think we just want to get the oh, right, okay. So I see I can't extract any of this text with the flag by doing this, because that's as close as I could get it. So that's a way to get flag onto me. So all I have to do is, how do I do that again? Oh, right, I'm using the win thing to push the flag, okay. To swap with the flag, okay, right, because it only does one swap thing at a time. So all I have to do is get the flag where it's going to be there and then push it onto it like that, okay, right? That didn't help me with D, though. So that's what it is. If something ends up on top of you, if you push something else to do the swap, because then it swaps with the thing with the place where you just pushed something from, which is where you are now going to be standing. Which I did know sort of at some point, but I wouldn't have been able to explain it like that, I guess, without seeing it like that. Regardless, it doesn't help me with this one. But you see what I mean? Where it's like, this one is, it's like one little thing you need to think of, and then you've got it. So the fact that this one is, it feels like I have to not only do the first tether to grapple and swap, but then also line up some specific words here in just such a way that I do swap in a way that pushes the pull to text so that they go out to the right, and also so that I'm able to retrieve it then to pull the flag all the way in, seems wrong, right? Like I'm overcomplicating this somehow, and it's some other little solve I have to do, probably. But again, to the lettered ones, so who even knows with them? But it just can't be that there's going to end up text here, here, and then I somehow get onto the skull and pull it, right? That just doesn't happen. And it's not like I could have text over here and then have like a bit of text here that I push in there and then turn it to polls that I turn on, so it's not on swap, so I push it in here and then it's polls, so I pull it out and then the rest comes with it, because again, that would require more text than is available, right? And I can't think of a way to incrementally pull the flag, because that would require... Well, we already said swap doesn't pull things the way I would have expected. The only way you're pulling this flag is if you have thing here, 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 and you're here. And there's not enough text for that. So I just gotta get that out of my mind. It's something more like Baba's getting out of the skull or something. Out of the skulls. Or the skulls become swap or pull or something. Or something weird like Baba is you and win that you'd get by doing weirdness like this, but as far as I understand, this is complete nonsense, what I've just spelled out here, because there's no way to get anything moving left and right that would shove that text there, or pull it, or whatever. This is another situation where I'm like, there are no ideas coming. Because I don't understand, and I think it's because there's something I don't understand about swap. How could you possibly skip 2 spaces with swap so that the skulls didn't kill you, or push something further along with swap to do whatever, if all it ever does is you step onto the same spot as something and then it goes to where you were? I've got a weird, nasty feeling there's like a hidden word in one of these skulls that I'm not understanding is there, and it's as simple as pushing out this secretly hidden word that like blends in, like it's the same color as the skull or something, and there's just another word there, like a useless word like door or something. Okay, I've just checked every skull. There was no hiding word in the skull. I can't tell how much it's trying to trick me here. Obviously, it wouldn't be much of a trick if I could. So the sole clue is that the first thing that you absolutely can retrieve with this pull technique is the word swap. So presumably this helps you do something. What? Once again, I'm gonna pop into the wiki and just read what it says about swap in case there's some like secret mechanic I couldn't know. But like before, I'm assuming that's not the problem. But if it's something I'd never guess about how it mechanically works, I don't want that to be what keeps us. Okay, so when any object moves into a swap object, the swap object's position is set to where the object that moved it was. So it's not necessarily, it can in theory move. You can move something more than one space if you were moving really fast or if you were using teleport or something. But that makes it sound like it makes it sound like the swap couldn't move me 2 spaces, the swapped object. I would have to move 2 spaces to move the swapped object 2 spaces, which I can't do. So it's not as though it's getting me outside of the skulls. Okay, we can cross that off, I'm pretty sure. Never mind, the literal next note is, when a swap object moves into any other object, the object's position is set to where the swap object was. So if a text thing could move 2 things in one turn, it could get me out of the skulls. I don't know how it would do that, though. Swap objects ignore the solidity, stop, push, pull of other objects. Right, hence why it wasn't able to push it. Anything. If an object is swap, it is not stop or push. So as a matter of fact, all text stops being push as soon as I say it is swap. So the most important thing I learned from this wiki is that the second B in Baba is capitalized. No, I'm sorry. Just kidding. There are a few other important things we learned there. So it ignores the solidity of pull, but that doesn't mean it can't be pulled. So is it possible to move something 2 spaces by using swap and pull at the same time? I haven't done it yet, I don't think, if it is. Something that occurs to me I haven't done a lot of is putting statements in the wall of skulls. Like, for instance, and I don't know why this would help. Text is swap here. Just drawing random things now. Don't really know why. My life is an endless swath of confusing instructions, one after the other. For a minute there, I was thinking, is there some way to make it so that text is flag, but then turns back into text? So that we could, for one turn, make it so that the skull wasn't defeated because this text was flags. Like, as I moved, everything became flag, and then everything came so that the skull, no, there were no rules, and then Baba was on the skull, and then the flag was text again, but you couldn't, that wouldn't do anything anyway, because if you then said flag as text after that somehow, it would just, every word would be flag. So it's not that, but at least I had a new idea in the past half hour. So far, anytime I've been stuck in this game, I haven't had to, like, sleep on it. I've always been able to get it in like, a few hours of just staring at it and bashing my head against it, but I've got a bad feeling this is going to be the first one where I'm going to have to just mull over it overnight. That's interesting. If I do this, then 3 of the flags end up on the same spot with every frame of animation turn. They're alternating the frames of animation so that everyone is turned on at once, so it looks like it's not moving. At least I think that's what I'm seeing here. The thing that's tripping me out is, if there were some way to use swap to get something to move further than it would than one tile in one turn, how could I possibly have not done it already by accident, just wandering around with pull and swap turned on? Even if I didn't understand what it was. Which leads me to believe there just simply is not a way to use swap to push something further than it would have already been, because how could I seriously have not done it? And how can I not think of it? It would be one thing if I did it but couldn't understand how I did it, then I just figured it out, or I hadn't managed it but I could think of a theoretical way. But the fact that I can't think of a way and I don't seem to have done it by accident, that means if it does exist, it's like a really weird and eclectic thing you have to do. So it seems. Which leads me to believe there is not a way to use swap to push something one space out of the skulls. What does that tell me? Well, it's going to have to be a small amount of text that, like, moves autonomously after a certain point, which I don't know how that would happen. Or Baba has to get out of the skulls. What is it that swap allows you to do? Okay, wiping my preconceptions a little here. Is there any reason we should not get swap right away? Is it holding us back somehow? I can't think of how. No matter what way I think about it, swap has to do something. It's not just there to be extra text, because... So supposing it was just a junk word like door, what that would mean is that with that, you would be able to use pull to do something smart. I don't suppose touching the fungi does anything. I wouldn't really be able to anyway. And is there some benefit I don't understand of building some sort of statement vertically and pushing it toward the bottom of the screen? I already tried pushing text is swap so that it enters the same space as a skull at the same time that it becomes true, right? Such that it would like swap the skull, but nothing of that sort happens. Oh! Wait a minute. Oh, I think I might have this? Okay. So if I'm understanding correctly what we gotta do here, and I think this might be something, we would want flag and win like oriented like this, and then we want text to be both pull and swap, such that I'm going to pull this, and what that will do is make so it'll pull both of them to the left. Flag will go to where Baba will go left one, flag will go left one, but win, crucially, will go onto the spot where a skull is. So that should mean that win and skull swap places, right? Oh, thank gosh, I figured it out. Okay, and then all I need to do is break this and then do it again, basically. Oh man, okay, that took so much longer than it should have. But I'm not surprised it took me that long, because I don't want that. They're being all wishy-washy with how text and swap and pull work, like how swap and pull commingle. So I'm not at all surprised that took me so long to get, considering I had no idea how pull did anything when swap was involved. It's not that it doesn't make sense, it's just that as soon as they told me that, or showed me, because I attempted it and did nothing, that swap made text not able to pull itself, I kind of just discounted the way pull would work to... Anyway, that was just an odd situation to be in. Alright, tell you what, even though that was stretched on really long, let's give it a try at E, because maybe E will just be easy after... That one was so hard. And if there's an extra stage after this, I won't attempt it in this video, but it would feel nice to round it out and complete the world this episode if we could. Baba's us, Baba's melt, flag is win, skull is skull, Kiki's push, wall is hot, skull is move, skull is swap, text is melt, flag is win, so we want something that is us. It seems like it's gonna be Baba to touch the flag. The walls are not stop, but they are hot and we are melt. We could make them into stop, but then we can't get out. But the way it stands now, we can step onto the thing, it's just that we melt. So if there was some way to step onto it at the same time that it becomes stop, then we could probably just walk out of it after that, I assume. So we've currently got Kiki's push, and we could change the Kiki into a skull. I'm not quite sure how with the way this is laid out. Oh, well, yeah, just like... It basically means we won't be able to push it after that, because we'll have to do this. And then it will walk and do some stuff. Oh, well, that's very interesting. Oh, man. So, Baba and Tex both melt. Skull is skull. So skull is never going to turn back into Kiki. Well, that makes things easier, in a sense. So the ideal would be we would push you in such a way that you're going to be moving left and right. Oh, but you're swap. Okay, so I got to wait till I would have to wait till you weren't swap, but have you be moving left and right such that you would push wall to... Or would I? Maybe I don't understand. If there's... Swap, you can move things that are stop still, right? Oh, yes, but I wouldn't be able to change you to be skull. Okay, so that clearly doesn't happen right now. So essentially the way this is laid out, I'm thinking... what am I thinking? So the only way the up thing could do anything is if I did this, and then you, like, swapped Kiki's skull off, and then that would allow us to change this to be, like, skull is up. Or, well, in theory, but not really. Alright, so let me just ask myself, if I turn Kiki's skull right away, what's the problem? So the problem is, we lose that swap, and then these two are, like, here for this forever. And we're kind of presuming, since I don't think there's a way to say wall is... melt, we're presuming that the swap is what's going to let us out, and it seems like it's only skull who's going to do that. So before the skull on the top right there swap out of that place, and then because it's no longer swap, it just shoves the text onto the burning wall. We have to... Well, there are one of two ways we're getting out of this, basically. Although I don't know if it works like this. It's either that at the same frame that we step onto the wall, it becomes stop rather than hot. Or it's that the skull has to swap one thing twice to get us a route. I actually just don't know if it works this way, but is there some way to... Like does it work that way, that if this happened on the same tile as I stepped onto a wall that was hot, do I melt, or do I step onto it and then it becomes stop and I'm fine? You know what? It's officially time to bust out the level editor. Okay, so I've reset that setup. So currently I'll melt if I touch this, but Kiki is going to walk back and forth. And the question is, can I step onto it and then off? Okay, yeah, that is in fact how that works. If I step onto it too early, I melt. If I step onto it too late, it's a wall. But if I step onto it at just the right time, I step onto it while it is stop, and then I'm allowed to step off. So there's something to consider, just to be sure, because I wasn't certain that that's how that would work, but it made sense. Okay, so I can salvage, so to speak, the upward if I have the skull swap it. From a little closer. But really what I could do is to get the skull facing up and down, I would do something like this. Sorry, more like none of that. I would do something like this, then it goes through there, and then on its way back, I would have it retrieve the is here, but I'm also just realizing that apparently skull is going to be moved. Oh, right, no, it burns that as it goes through. Wait, that's interesting though, since it pushed the wind that far. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Okay, hang on. That was complete luck that I happened to be doing that, but if I did this and then I got it. I got over here in time to do this right. Then I could do the thing I was gonna do with myself. Oh, no, I couldn't because it gets stuck there. Okay, wait, one more. It blows up. Never mind. Okay, I thought we were gonna get skull and move and win for a minute there. Sorry, back to what I was actually trying to do, which is let you go by and then you can get the is for us. Oh, well, I guess I can't really do that because then wind blows up and that's no good. But just out of curiosity, what does getting the is like that allow us to do? Nothing as it stands, actually, because there's no reason to do Kiki is anymore, and to have it, that we had to move it that far down means skull is no longer available. I see. I don't have to do it by going down. I can do it by going up, something like this, to retrieve the is again. Okay, I don't want to do it from quite that close, otherwise you swap these walls. Which again, I'm assuming we want them swapped at some point, but just to play this out and get this is, so we can do skull is up. Because that seems loosely right. Or that we can do skull as anything, really. Presumably skull is up. We could do something like this, and then I don't know what. Did we already say that? It's not like. Oh, why are you? Oh, right. So you can only move up. That's not super helpful, if I'm honest. Well, I don't need it to be up forever. I guess I can just wait till you're over here, just to test what I'm doing here, because I always forget how this works. If I did this and then got rid of that, so you're not always facing up, you can shove me. Oh, no, I'm not push. Okay, right, of course. I was gonna say, could it push me across? Like, wah. Okay, thinking about things another way. Returning to the overall thought of this, though. How does Bubba get to the flag? Because I don't think the flag is coming in. And we're definitely not doing this and then getting back here in time to save swap, right? Ooh, I could still do skull as win, though, here, couldn't I? Wait, hang on. Why did I turn this off of being hot? So that we don't roast the win. Right, okay, hang on. Right, okay, sorry, I was gonna say we could do skull as win, but we can't get the text over the wall because it's hot. Of course. Interesting, the other Kiki also starts as a Kiki. It's not a skull just yet, right, because that means you set them in motion at the same time. That's kind of the point, it seems. So really what I gotta ask myself is, what is the up for? And what I'm thinking is, it's going to be something like the skull moves, like we have this Kiki here, so it's just that the skull instantly... Oh, no, that doesn't quite... Wait, yeah. So we have the skull here, so that the skull goes up, and then swaps it... Oh, no, the swap is already gone at that point, huh? Wow, that's fast. Okay, let me ask myself this. Is there any way at all to prevent that skull at the top right from going 1, 2, 3, and then swiping that swap? Because if not, that will simplify things hugely. It's just, what can I do? What can I swap in 3 turns that's useful? I cannot think of any way to prevent that from happening once I've done the skull thing. So I think you have 3 turns to set up the swap that you're going to do. Or swaps, as the case may be. Now, of note is that you could, it is possible to trap this one skull in here if you do it at this point. It's just moving back and forth in there, which might impact things later. But once wall is stopped, there's nothing else you can make it be, right? That would be worth anything. So presumably, the important stuff has to happen while wall is hot. So I don't think I'm tripping balls here. I think the objective is, at the start here, like the first few steps to this plan are push the Kiki somewhere and then say the Kiki is skull. So that it launches into action. So I could again say Kiki, skull. Oh, okay, right, you can't, right, skull is skull, we already said this. It was never turning back into Kiki, okay, that also simplifies things. Crucially, what we can't do is mess with Baba and Texas Melt, skull is skull and move and swap. None of that stuff, well, I mean, aside from the top, what the one at the top right is already going to do to it, none of that is stuff we can change. Nor to get the U out somehow, even though you wouldn't anyway, because it would burn. Ooh! Oh no, that wouldn't work. Because if you could do that, there are many other things you could do. I was going to say, if you could push the Baba and Texas Melt phrase all the way to the left, it would burn on the wall, and then it would just say Texas Melt, and so Baba could walk through easily. But that wouldn't really utilize this whole system either, so that's probably not it. For that reason also. There is no flag as flag, so if it were possible to state flag as Baba, that could do something. So the sole thing about this is, when you put this Kiki, that one that we actually have any control over, it's either going up, down, right, or left when we begin. Presumably, it's going to be left or right, because we then have the up keyword that will change it at some point to face up when we are not in direct control of it, which would only be useful if it weren't already doing that, hence if it were left-right. So I assume you are in some way or another doing left-right when you turn Kiki into a skull. What just happened? Oh, I push burned, I see. And then skulls are walking left and right, doing some stuff. And then at some point, you do the whole thing we already did, where we say that the skull is up so as to change its direction. Achieving what? Well, that's the million-dollar question. Because, of course, up can eventually translate into down if you say it's up and then take it off of that, and then it hits the top and moves back down. So basically, it's just about its axis change from left-right to up-down. So what are you pushing up or down at the end? But also, I don't really get that, because I sort of thought the only reason you would ever want to do this change, because this otherwise boxes you in. So it's, okay, so it's definitely not that you're gonna, or it's most likely not that you're going to swap walls out of the way. You're not going to do some weird thing where you swap one, like this, and then have it go back down and then somehow swap as alive again and then does it again so that you can walk out. It's not going to be that, because then this would serve literally no function, I'm pretty sure, if you were just going to walk out of the wall, except to keep skull on swap. But that only would happen if you did it at the very beginning, which is not possible as it's set up here, because to do Kiki's skull you have to do this. Because nothing else is moving, the only way to do it would be this. It's never turning back, so you couldn't make it there in time to save swap. So there's no saving swap. I think we already said that even. So this is not a matter of saving swap. It's a matter of getting you out, I'm pretty sure. Or otherwise stopping the skulls from moving to do something. And I'm pretty sure we said that the only way to get Kiki's skull is to burn the push. So it's not like we're going to retrieve the push at some point and say wall is push. So no more pushing once skulls exist. And to me, this means all the signs point to something is going to change this to stop at the moment that you take a step over the wall, except for, again, the fact that... Oh, sorry. I said there's no way to save swap. That's not true, because I could do this first. It's just that then I'm doing nothing with my Kiki, basically. I could get rid of the push like this to get the Kiki over there such that wall can be stopped so that swap doesn't go away and the skulls are moving around. Oh, no, okay, sorry. Swap still is gone at that point because you don't have swap anymore, so you're not going to swap it up again as you go back right. So I didn't save swap, actually. I just did things sort of inelegantly. I'm going to say there's no way to do skull is win because you would have to get the is and the win over by one to the left, which means two things moving to the left, which we know is not possible, I'm pretty sure. Which I'm pretty sure is not possible, is a more normal way to say that. So swap is going away. I think we just gotta accept that. So that means, again, back to the beginning. What do you do in the first 3 turns that swap is a thing? Whoa, wait a minute. Could I, oh no, how would I do that? I don't know why I thought this would do anything. I was gonna say to, like, no, there's no way to set it up in 3 turns. I was gonna say to have it, like, wall is stop, and the skull was one above it, and then, because wall is stop, and then make it up, and then make the skull facing up such that, because it was one above the word wall, and facing a wall above it, it would go down and swap the word wall away such that the wall would be neither stop nor hot. And then we would win. Swap has really been the sort of pivotal thing around this set of lettered stages. Which sucks because I'm bad at it. 3 moves. 3 moves from wherever I push Kiki, and that's what swap is for. Because there's no... Swap isn't for the upper right Kiki, because all it's doing is getting rid of swap and then moving up and down a bunch. 3 moves to make use of swap. 3. It basically sounds like it has to be something in here, right? Like we're moving a wall for some reason, or we're getting the word Kiki out of there. But what I don't understand is, so there's no function to doing this to get Kiki out of there, because we can already do that. If I do this, and this, and then this, we get Kiki out. There's no benefit to doing that with swap early, as far as I can see. Similarly with up, we can make use of that later. There's no real reason to get it away from the wall with swap that I can see. The only thing I can think that getting it away from the wall with swap does, and it's really convoluted. No, actually I can't, that isn't anything either, because it's gonna come and bring it into the fire before I can do anything with it. 3 turns to make use of swap. Then again, we can, if we do it like this, where it starts in the wall, then it does this thing where it puts the walls on, like, one on the other, so it effectively gets rid of one. There's no moving skull is skull and move end to the left or right, because there's no changing that skull at the top right to be a left-right one, nor is there changing this one to be a left-right one once I've done the up thing to get it up there. Similarly, I don't believe there's any moving Baba and Texas melt left and right, because you'd have to have something moving left and right down there. So the only things they really have access to are the flag and the words flag is win. Perhaps... Nope. Never mind. I was going to say perhaps it's a situation of we want one of these, one thing here, so that the skull can push the win thing over here at the exact moment I do this, such that we get a win in the wall and we can set up something like Kiki is win or skull is win or whatever. But a few problems with that. One, that would put the skull on the right hand side, which would mean there wasn't much is winning we could do. Oh, this is unconventional, but no, unconventional enough that I'm pretty sure it would do nothing. I was gonna say, I wonder if there was some way to get this square here that I'm burning on now, get rid of it, like push it onto the one below here. Anyway, the other problem with the thing I was saying earlier about putting a win in the wall is that there's no way to get the is out at that point to actually line that up in a likable way. Okay, am I oversimplifying by saying that the skull on the right, all it's for is to mess that swap up, and then when it's wandering up and down, there is no reason for it to be in the game anymore at all. It's not doing anything. Is that oversimplifying? I wonder. I can't see what it pushing anything up and down would do there, and I can't think of a way for it to not be moving up and down. So I think it just stays there. And that's no longer part of the puzzle. It's just this other skull. At that point. 3 moves for swap to do something. What could it possibly be? It's so it must be something so simple. Wait a minute. Can I... oh no, it swaps me too, huh? What if I do this and then... Well, that was unusual. Wait, why? I push this to the right. Oh, I see, I swap it to the left, and then it walks forward and swaps me. And so we can keep doing that forever. What I was trying to figure out was there some way to, like, be on the same square as it? Which I guess would involve being here when you break Kiki's push, and then doing this, and then if we're in the same spot. Okay, that's not what I expected to happen. I thought we would walk on the same spot, and so it would, like, I would go through the swap with it and be on the other side of the wall, but that's not how it works. And of course it doesn't, because you're not using wall as stop, wall as hot, or up here. But I wouldn't have expected that the way it works is I move down one, and then the skull walks onto me and puts me back behind it. So it basically what happens is the skull just moves. I wouldn't have expected that it was that. Anyway, clearly this plan is a bust. Insulation. Referring to the warmth of the walls, presumably. It's another tricky thing where, because I don't know how to open this, I can't just say, well, I don't know what to swap, so I'll just think about something else for a bit. Because if I don't know what to swap, I have no idea what anything is going to look like for the rest of this. As soon as I've fudged the swap like that, I have no chance of figuring out what to do next, really. Well, Okay, that's probably a bit of an exaggeration. But I am very much at a disadvantage here because I have no idea what it should actually look like at this point. So with that in mind, how could I possibly guess what's happening next? Which means I need to just restart and figure out what to do with swap, I guess. Because again, I cannot push something that's on the right side to the left, because that would mean the skull would have to go horizontally, then vertically, then horizontally again. And there's no doing that. You can have it go vertically the whole time, or you can have it go horizontally and then vertically. That's all that can happen, the way it's laid out. Because we lose push so early on, there's no chance you could even push one of them to be the right way later. So it's pushing something up and down, and the only thing available is flag is win. So me thinks flag is gonna be win, and there's some way to get Baba outside. Okay, so last time, the previous mission we did that I was stuck on and and getting annoyed at myself for being stuck on, like this one. The reason was I didn't understand how pull and swap cooperated. The only thing I could think of that could be similar here is that I don't understand how push and swap cooperate. But as far as I understand, for swap to do anything, we need skulls. The only way to do that is Kiki's skull, which ruins push. So that's not a thing anyway. So it's just something I don't understand about. It's just something I'm looking right at and not seeing that is visually there. There's a visual path for this skull to take that does something that I'm looking at and not observing. Oh. No, that wouldn't do it, would it? I was thinking, would it be as simple as doing this and then saying where Kiki's in the right place and then saying Kiki up and then saying Kiki is skull such that it swaps me here, but it's just going to put me on the wall. Which wouldn't be a problem if the wall was already stopped. No, yes, because then I can't do the skull. I can't do up. But damn, I thought I had it for sure there for a second. Wait, that's fine. Just burn it beforehand. I can't believe it was that simple! Alright, Deepwood's D&E, they're on my naughty list right now. But it's nothing wrong with them, really. It just, I can't, I like that the actual solutions were simple though. They weren't actually asking you to do a huge complicated chain of things that you could never think of. It's literally just like you have to think of the simple thing that it is. And of course, it's that what I was doing wrong here foremost was assuming that this all had to happen in a because I'm like there in 3 turns the swap is over. I'm like you have to do something complicated like have it set up while you're over here and then do whatever I was thinking. When in reality, the point is to do as much setup as possible beforehand so that it was truly as simple as just burning these words and then setting this up at just the right... And it's not even that huge of a time pressure, really. It's just about being at the right spot and having set all that up. Wow, okay. Should I title this video yet another variation on that shouldn't have taken that long? Like, this one indeed should not have taken this long also. Just something like that, because that should not have taken that long. But they were very clever solutions. I don't mean to say that it shouldn't have taken long because they were stupid solutions or anything like that. I just mean, there were a lot of things that I considered that were so much more complex than the answer. So if you think about it like that, it should have been easy for me to then cascade downward and think of simpler answers at that point. For both of these. But I didn't. Alas. But yeah, letter ones are weird, because sometimes they're They're really easy. Like, how long did this one take us? I got it, like, by accident. While I was trying to do something else. This one, oh, this one. Anyway, it looks like we're headed to the gates, the dark, what the hell do they call it? The chasm. Looks like we're headed to the chasm next time, my friends. And once we sorted out whatever's there, we'll, I suppose, if there's no other obvious thing to do, I'll try a way out, and then we'll see what happens after that. I'm assuming at some point, though, there's somewhere where there's a level keyword, and you could make a flag for this Baba to go hug. Anyway, though, next time, Chasm. And the next video going up with the channel is going to be some more Hitman contracts, so thank you so very much for coming around. Hopefully I'll see you around. Admiral's gonna be out of here now. Peace! Honey, where's my super suit? What? Where is my super suit? I put it away. Where? Just like giant piles of bubblegum.